so let's start out with the first sound that I used here, and you'll see throughout this video a lot of the sounds are from Output Arcade. This is what the first sound sounds like. It is a low staccato string from Arcade. Alright, so we open up Arcade, and this is from the Solemn Vow Arcade, and I just use this note here, E2. The next sound in the track is this sustained strings, which is like a mid-range sound. Let's hear that. And then I added these little modifier keys to change up the sound at the end, the last two bars. And then the third sound is the sustained high string from Arcade also. And I believe it's from the same kit. Yeah, Solemn Vow. All of those together sound like this. The next sound I added was these marcato brass chords. And as you can see here, I have messed around with the modulation automation for the mod wheel, and this one comes from the Orchestra Complete Contact Bank Brass Low Sustain. Yeah, I have it 3 octaves of A sharp and then 2 octaves. All of those together sound like this. So then we get into the next section, which sounds like this. So the first sound is I basically took the same low string that was in the Arcade loop, and I made the MIDI pattern for it, which looks like this. And I changed it for also a low string from Contact, Strings for Winter Spiccato from the Orchestra Complete. I think this preset is also in Strings of Winter from the same company. And that sounds something like this. I have the note velocities all the way up for every single note, so it sounds very powerful. Then we have the same sustained strings in the mid. Then the only 2 new parts that come in on this sound are these voices, also from Arcade, from the Ancient Message Arcade Bank. And so effects for that, I have an EQ, fresh air, so without effects it sounds like this. And with effects I just cut out any low-end rumble, and I have a sloping on 20K. And then the important one for this is fresh air. I just boosted a little bit to the mid, and it just gives this a little bit more open sound to the voice. That pattern repeats for 8 bars. And then I have a dark piano, which is playing for the bass frequencies. As you can see, I have the octaves for the bass notes, and I have one at A sharp -1 and A sharp 1. And then the same is copied for all the other notes. All of that together sounds like this. So then we get into the next section, which adds one more new sound, and it is this violin melody, which kind of serves as the lead melody for the whole sample. So this comes from Spitfire Solo Violin Contact Bank. It is a really great violin contact bank. And then I have on effects here some fresh air, add some mid-air and reverb. And I cut out a little bit the more resonant frequencies. And I have that about 50% wet, so quite a bit of reverb. And then I add a channel EQ. I'm cutting about a dB, it was a little loud, and any low rumbles that would interfere with the piano bass. And then I have a second EQ where I'm taking care of some harsher frequencies. So let me show you those. You know, just some frequencies that are a little less comfortable to the ear. So without any effects, it sounds like this. So very dry, and then with effects, it sounds much more ambient. And all of that together sounds like this. Alright, and the next nearly last section, I just remove the voice violin and I add this more vintage sounding piano, which plays this melody. And all of that together sounds like this. And so for the vintage piano, I forgot to show you the effects. This is just a little bit of EQ to remove some of the low frequencies and also cut a little bit of the higher end to make it feel more vintage. Then I added the same reverb as on the violin, and I just made it a little bit more wet, so higher mix level. And then one of my favorite plugins, Sound Toys Radiator, I removed some more bass, added a little bit of treble, and significantly added some distortion, so it makes the sound a lot more punchy. So without effects, it sounds like this. Very dry, very soft and intimate sounding piano. And if we add the effects back, it sounds like this. So I forgot to tell you which where I get the piano sounds from. This comes from the Contact Noir bank. So I actually haven't loaded it up. I have a resampled version of the bank, but I used the Noir Pure Dark preset for the dark piano, and I just put it in the bass notes. And then for the vintage piano, it was the standard felt Noir bank from Native Instruments for Contact. And so then the last section we get into is just repeating the high sustained strings, mid sustained string, the bass piano, and then we add these new vocals. And that's from the exact same bank as previous vocals. And what I just did here, I brought up the dark verb quite a bit, and it gives it this darker and more washed out sound. Altogether, the last section sounds like this. So, and then the entirety of the sample all together, I'll play it for you, sounds like this.